Hello there, I'm Jackton Emmanuel Juma, leader and founder of I Become Community. And this has always been a place where we have conversations that matter. And today, we are talking about creating or striking a balance between faith and principle, because this is a conversation that, if I believe adopted in the right way, then it can bring an impact both in the church and outside the church. I believe that somebody can dismiss your faith, but they can never dismiss results. Results always speaks better than anything else. And you find that even in the Bible, when it tells us that we are the light of the world, we are a city that is set upon a hill, we are supposed to occupy and dominate. Unfortunately, that has not been the case in the church today. That has not been the case in the world. You find that the world and the corporate spaces have exalted principles, have exhausted laws, have exalted systems, forgetting the place of fundamentals like faith, prayer, and diligence and honesty, integrity, and all these things. And you find that a blend must be achieved for us to create a perfect harmony. One of the Oftentimes Christians have been taught how to pray, how to bow our heads in prayer. But when it comes to lifting them in boardrooms, we don't have the conversations that matter. And most of the times, there are a lot of stereotypes that have surrounded a Christian because mostly religion or faith has been perceived as a personal thing. It has been dismissed in corporate spaces, it has been dismissed in companies, and mostly you find that corporate spaces shun employing Christians or employing people of faith. But should this really be the cause? And the most important question is, what was the foundation of this? Because when you take a deep study, when you take a deep research, you'll understand that religion was one of the instrumental tools that was used in civilizations. When you check even the most powerful institutions in terms of education, talk of the schools like Oxford, Cambridge, all of them are a result of religion. And so it tells you that even when you study the history, people like Martin Luther King, people like Tutu of South Africa, these are people that rose with the Bible, with the word, but again with principle. And you find that they brought civilizations in their countries and nations, not because they were despised, but because they stood up and they took spaces that people thought they were not supposed to be taken by people of faith. Now, why do I bring this conversation today? I bring this conversation because there is a need to strike a balance between a man of prayer, or rather faith and principle. Because when you don't strike that balance, either when you lean to faith, you become so ineffective in the corporate spaces. And when you lean so much to principle, you become a person who is full of pride and ineffective when it comes to your actualization of the goals. In vision building, this is a very, very fundamental conversation that you need to have within yourself. Especially, this conversation is a person who holds their religion, a person who holds their faith, a person who holds their belief system. And when I'm talking about religion, it necessarily doesn't mean Christianity. It can be Islamic and or any other religion. But in my scope of talking today, or rather what I need to present today, I need to talk about the scope of Christianity, because there are a lot of stereotypes that have surrounded Christians in corporate spaces. This is my belief that Christians can take up places and be effective just as a person who is not a Christian. If just there is a strike, the balance is created between principle and faith. And we need to raise effective kingdom legislatures in corporate spaces. We need to raise young men and women who are not just effective in church, but who are also effective in the world. We need to raise young men and women who not only know how to pray, but when they are put in corporate spaces, in boardrooms, they offer solutions in terms of their negotiation skills, in terms of how they network, in terms of how they present themselves, in terms of diligence, in terms of their command and authority. Because at the end of the day, many institutions, even today, talk about countries like the Vatican. You see, after the collapse of the Roman Empire, Vatican, or rather the Catholic Church, became the most powerful institution that has ruled till today. So in civilization, whether it's in education, it is in health, it is in science, religion has played a part in all these aspects. And so it's a fundamental tool that cannot be dismissed when it comes to vision building. And so if you're building a vision, you need to understand how to strike that balance, how to bring that balance between religion and principle, because both of them play an important aspect.